Here's what I really want you to understand. If you start a business and you are an entrepreneur is a person that really takes lower level resources to higher levels of productivity. An entrepreneur, if you look up the definition of an entrepreneur, is a person that is willing to take risk, right? Typically with sometimes their own capital in order to produce something that can grow and they can get a return, right? But I want you to think of yourself as a specialist and not a generalist. The people who make the big money have specialized skill sets. Okay? And what I see from people is it's called the double shift. And the double shift is you first have to shift in your own mind before you shift in the market. Does that make sense? Okay? At first, when I started my business, I was just literally a speaker. I would just go speak. And then people started to hire me to coach. Right? Now, fast forward 20 years, I have positioned myself as the leading authority in the world on activating prey drive in people. See the difference? What I'm trying to do is pick a very specific niche. Okay? If you're fancy, niche. Okay? I am trying to pick a very specific thing to say on planet Earth, there is nobody better at activating the prey drive in people than Coach Burt. All of my marketing collateral says that. When I'm booked to speak at conferences, they say, we want you to activate these people's prey drive. When I'm hired by companies, that's what they say. Everybody understand that? Okay? Just like Sullivan trademarked unique ability, I trademarked prey drive. Nobody on planet Earth can use that concept in association with humans except me. Everybody with me? Okay, so that because I have picked a lane. Now, it took me a long time to figure this out, and I don't want it to take forever for you to figure it out. I want you to start seeing yourself as you're a certified little badass. And there you are, and in some area of life, you are the best person in the world. Now, until you make up your mind that you are that person, then you're never going to communicate that to the marketplace. You're going to be a mortgage originator, a home builder, a health coach, a whatever. Now here's the problem with that. There's thousands of those people. And that is what's called a commoditization. And commoditization is where, man, in my mind, I can get you anywhere. Why do I need you? Then it comes down to rate, or then it comes down to this or that. No, we're trying to separate you from the pack. And the way we separate you from the pack is we first got to get clear on what do you got? What makes you unique? What do you have that other people? Now, if I was a real estate agent, I've said this for years, nobody's ever done it, I would go to the Harvard Business School of Negotiation, pay the $12,000. I would come back to Nashville and say, I'm the only real estate agent that has been through the Harvard Business School of Negotiation. I am the #1 negotiator in the state of Tennessee. Nobody can negotiate on your behalf better than me. I've got world-class training. That cost me $12,000 to be able to say that. Everybody see that? Okay? But if I was selling real estate, you better believe I would do that. I would find something that would separate me from everybody else. Okay? I'm one of 5 people who have gone to the London School of Economics. I am one of 3 people in the world who have done this, right? See, what you want to do is think, I am not playing on the same level with you. Right? I am playing on another level than you. You're playing on the common level with everybody else, but I ain't. I'm playing at an accelerated level because I have a very special skill set. Now, you may think, oh my gosh, especially all of my folks grew up in the South, and I did too, in the Bible Belt. And, my mom taught me we don't brag. You know what I'm saying? We don't brag. We don't talk about ourselves. We don't stand out. We don't get attention, right? Right? Me and my mom are going back and forth this morning because I'm going to St. Lucia. She's like, have you been vaccinated? You better not leave the country. I'm like, well, I'm leaving the country in just a couple days, okay? Now, here's my point. My mom's 60-something years old, man. The way she was raised is very different than the way today is. Today, I would tell you, you got to get as much attention as you can. Right or wrong? Yes. This is a circus, man. You're running a circus, and don't even fool yourself and think you're not. You're running a total circus. You got to figure out how to get as many people to that circus as you can. Right or wrong? Now you can say, how is this working for you? I can show you, and I will show you today, I'm generating 3,000 leads every 90 days, man. And I'm not paying for those leads. Some of them I may do a little bit of advertising. Like for this event, we did a little bit of advertising on Facebook and Instagram for this event, right? But for the most of it's very organic. That should be validation to you of what I'm teaching you works. Okay? Because the number of leads I'm generating. Everybody follow where I'm going with this? Okay? And all of it is because I'm just out there moving and circulating and following up with people. And I got a message. And I convert those people who like my message to something. That something could be for $57. It could be for something that's $100,000. Everybody see where I'm going with this? Okay? You don't need more money, you need more people. The people have the money. So when I go back when I made a decision to write a book, I didn't know how smart of a decision it was, Dwight, until I did it. I just did it because I had something to say. I didn't even realize the book was going to give me a message. The message was actually going to get me in front of the dudes at Dell Computers. Right? I didn't even have all this put together. I'm giving this to you looking backward. Going, this is how it happened, man. This is what I did, okay? Now, so let's go back to this, because some of you are probably still a little hung up on what is your primary skill. Let me draw a framework I use a lot that I think is very, very critical to finding your primary skill. What do you love doing? This is passion. This is passion. What do you love doing, man? If you could do anything, what do you love doing? One of the things I love is coaching people at this lodge. You know how happy I am when I'm here? I'm just happy. How could you come here and not be happy? It's like Disney World. You know? We got deer that walk up in the morning. It's almost like we pay them. They just show up around 7, right? So people can see them. It's like, man, when I come out here and work, we come out here and work one day a week, me and my team, man, everybody's just happy. How could you not be happy here? Here's the deal. I love being out here. So here's what I said. If I'm going to buy the lodge, there's a couple things I love, man. I love coaching people. What if I could coach people at my lodge? So why don't we take this area and build out a training room so I could coach people at a place I love? I love good live country music. What if I had my own concerts at my lodge with major artists and entertainers at my lodge, right? Because I love that, right? I grew up listening to country music. How do I start doing things I love doing? Because guess what? When I'm doing something I love, do you think people can sense that? Do you think that is attractive to people? Yes or no? So people's like, that's good. I want to do what I love doing every day, right? That's attractive. The reason you pay the money to watch the artist on stage is because a little piece of you says, man, I'd love to be on that stage. I remember going to a conference like this one day, and I sat in the back, Brandon, where you're sitting, and a woman taught, a couple hundred people there. Man, I walked right up to that woman, she was done. I said, how do I do what you do? How do I do this? Right? And she's kind of doing this and papers. She really didn't give me a good answer. But she said, call these people, right? And this is how you can do it, right? And that's all she said to me. But I was so curious. How do I do what you do every day? Is this what you do for a living? Like you go around the world and talk to people and coach people? She's like, yes, that's what I do. I'm a trainer. She called herself a trainer. And I said, well, how do I do it? And she said, here's the number. Good luck. And I called the company, and they hired me to be a trainer. They paid me $250 a day. That's it. They gave me a $40 per diem. Okay, they know Jeff Ruby's on $40, folks. You know what I'm saying? It's like Crystal Burger. $40. They paid me $40 to eat, $250 a day to speak for 8 hours a day. And you say, man, doesn't seem like much. It was the best education I could ever get. They sent me to Maine, and they sent me to New York. They sent me to Alabama and Mississippi and Phoenix and Atlanta, Georgia. And man, it was the best thing I could ever do because I was working the muscle. I was learning how to talk to people for 8 hours a day, right? I was learning how to communicate. I was learning the message. It was like I was going to college and I was getting paid to go to college, right? So what do you love doing? Number 2, what are you great at doing? This is talent. This is talent. One of my best friends is a mortgage originator, and in elementary school, he was so far advanced from all of us that he would leave elementary school and he would go over to the high school and take classes in trigonometry, advanced calculus, like in 7th grade. Yeah, show off. I was in remedial math. Here's the deal, man. His talent was in crunching numbers, percentages. He was naturally gifted in it. And now he's a mortgage originator. He's going to make $2 million this year. And I can look at his life and go, man, you are playing in your strength zone. When you were in elementary school, you were ahead of everybody else as it relates. So anytime I'm doing a real estate deal, anytime I call him, break the numbers down for me. What's my payment going to be? Is this a good deal? Is the return strong enough? Like he can just spit it out. Boom, boom, boom. Your payment's going to be, boom. And he can be like within a few dollars. It's crazy. Right? He's like, over this. Oh, that's a much better deal than this. You need to do this. Here's how we can do that. I mean, it's crazy. He is just very talented with that. So being a mortgage originator would make sense. Yes or no? Okay. Now, if you take, I love coaching people because he was a high school basketball coach. I love coaching people, and I'm naturally talented at math. That's a good profession for him to go into. Okay. Now, he may not love a lot of the other stuff that goes along with it, which means he just gets to a point where he has a little team of people do all that stuff, right? Where he can just coach, right? Coach and do the numbers, right? And he's orchestrating a little team of people doing it. So what do you love doing? What are you great at doing? This is talent. I believe talent's God-given, not man-given. Meaning I can teach you skill, but I can't give you talent. My job is to help you pull out the talent you've already been given. It's like a birthday gift given to you at birth. My daughter's 9 years old, and you know what? I can see her talents. I can already see things in her that she's really good at and things she's not good at. It's very obvious to me. It's like, man, she's really good at doing this and putting things together, right? She's good at this. That's a talent of hers, okay? Third piece is, where is there a need in the world? This is where the money comes in. This is where monetization comes in. Is I'm taking what I love doing with what I'm great at doing, and I am solving a problem in the world. The bigger the problem, the more money people will pay to solve that problem. I can solve bluegill problems or blue marlin problems. Everybody see that? Okay? I don't coach people one-to-one, and there's a big reason for that. It's because when it comes down to my time, there's not enough money they can pay me, or there probably is somebody, that would justify me doing a lot of one-to-one coaching. Does that make sense? So I coach people in groups because I can reach a lot more people. It could be a lot more lucrative. Okay? I'm still doing, but the number one request I get is to coach people one-to-one. Will you work with me one-to-one? Okay? Now, if I said, look, starts at $100,000, there would be somebody who would pay it. Right? My buddy Brad Lee, somebody asked him to coach him one-to-one, and he's like, well, I don't coach people one-to-one, but I do have a plan called Be Bradley's Buddy. And for $100,000, you can be my buddy. And the guy paid it. I'm like, you're going to regret that you put that out to the market, okay? Because that little buddy's going to be calling you all the time, right? He's like, I can't believe he paid it, man. He gave me $100,000 just to be my friend. Now, here's my point. Only Brad Lee would do something like that. Now, here's my point. Here's the deal, though. If you go to Bradley's office at Lightspeed, which is one of the coolest offices in the world, and you spend the day with him, he loves talking about technology and online learning. And man, all he does all day long is people from all over the world come to his office. And he's got a bar up front, right? And he's got rhinos everywhere. And I'm like, what's the deal with the rhinos? And he's like, have you ever tried to stop one? I'm like, okay, I get it. So he's got rhinos everywhere, marble floors. You go to his office and he sits in that conference room, man, all day long and just hangs out with people. All day, and just teaches them how to use online training and learning. And then they go in his podcast studio and does a podcast. And like he can literally sit there and talk about this for I've gone there before and I'm like, okay, I'm done talking about this. We've been talking about it for 14 straight hours. Right? Like it's fun to him. Right? And the dude's built a 9-figure company. So I'm like, is this what you do all day long? Just hang out with people? And he's like, yeah, man, just hang out with people. Talk about technology. That's all I do, all day, every day. Every day at his office, that's all he does. He don't make sales calls. He don't follow up with people. He's like, if you work with us, we'd be a lot more productive here, number one. Right? I'm like, I know. He's like, but this is how I do it, man. This is what I do all day, every day. Now, so look, love, great, need, and the fourth piece is very important. This is where your conscience. This is what you must do. Okay? Now, you guys have heard me talk about doing stuff for kids. I have tried every way I can to get out of doing stuff for kids. Okay, got my own 2 kids now, and that's enough for me, and they keep me really busy. But every night when I sit down on my little notepad right here, I write down I'm supposed to be doing something for kids. Every single night. And even my little hand, I'm like, no, don't do it. And my little hand, it still does it. Okay? So it's like, why am I, right? It's like God telling me, look, you're doing this, whether you want to or not. You're supposed to be doing this. So do it. Quit fighting it. Quit resisting it. And do it. Okay? Now, so there's certain things that you're just supposed to do. You must do them. Now, when you add all these things up, and you are literally doing what you love doing, at the intersection of these things right here is what's called your voice. That is your voice and calling in life. So if you're trying to find your calling or find your purpose, then the way you find your purpose is you say, man, I'm curious about this. I love this. People tell me I'm really good at this. Man, there's a need. I could make money doing this. Right? I could make money doing this. Now I'm supposed to be doing it. So if you're asking me what's holding me up on the kids thing, I'm studying the economic models to see, can it be a profitable enterprise? If I open supplementary schools for kids, will it sustain? How much money is it going to take? How much of my own personal money am I willing to put into it? You understand where I'm going with this? So I'm studying the economics of it to see. Or are we just going to do success schools at the lodge and have kids come 3, 4, 5 times a year and that's it, right? Like I'm trying to figure that part out. Okay? So imagine waking up every day doing what you love doing, what you're great at doing, solving a problem for the world you're being well compensated for, right? And you know what you're doing really matters. Like it really makes a difference in the world. Imagine going home at night going, doing what I love doing, well compensated, making a difference, exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. Isn't that a good day? That's a good day. That is not how most America lives. Would you agree? 67% of Americans say they are totally disengaged in what they do for a living. That's almost 7 out of 10 people that get up and go to work every day and say, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Everybody see that? Okay? Like I'm watching my wife go through this journey because she sold cell phones for Verizon for 10 or 15 years. She had no dreams, no purpose, no goals, no nothing. She didn't know what she was doing. But she was pretty good at it. She was good with people. Right? And she really is trying to find her voice in life now, at 40 years old. And she's running the health division of our company. And I'm watching her at night sit down and map out her next day. And I go into her office and she's got, right, like her boards up, like her whiteboards. Like I'm like, this girl's finding it. She's actually finding her voice, right? I'm observing her figure this out. Okay? Because I can only give her so much coaching. You know what I'm saying? Because she's my wife. And sometimes I know when I've overstepped my boundaries, she's like, I ain't paying you to coach me. Okay? That's enough. I'm all right. I'm just trying to help a sister out. Now, okay? So now here's the point. Now, this is very important. So I have a unique talent, and then we'll move on to the next thing. Because I really don't think we can even talk about being a person of interest until you find this. Okay? I know it's hard to hear, but you're going to be a commodity in the eyes of the world if you got average skill. The world's going to look at you and go, come on, is that all you got? Surely you got more than that. What is your primary skill? What's the problem your skill solves? Okay? If I helped you make $20 million with my skill, would you mind giving me $1 million of it if I helped you make 20? No. That'd be a good trade, right or wrong? Okay, your skill solves somebody else's problem. Okay? And you say, what is the entertainer? What does the entertainer solve? Man, escape. Fun, right? You work hard, you go to a concert, what do you want to do? Have fun. The entertainer comes in and entertains you so you can just have a night where you don't worry about anything. You just go have fun, man. That's the problem, okay? So I want to take a second right now, and I want you to tell the person beside you, what do you think your primary skill is? What do you think your skill is that is marketable to the world, okay? All right, I got a question for you. How many of you believe that your income is in direct proportion to your skill?
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay? Now I want you to hear what I just said. I believe your income is in direct proportion to your skill level. Okay? Now, let me say this. When I was a basketball coach, you were a teacher, right, Emma?
Yes, sir.
When I was a basketball coach, I was a level 10 dude, but I was stuck in a level 4 opportunity. I'm like, man, it's not that I'm better than this, but I'm like, man, I'm a friggin' stallion trying to run. You know what I'm saying? And no matter how many games I win, can't make any more money. I'm stuck. This vehicle can't get me where I'm trying to go. And my conscience kept saying, man, you're supposed to be doing something bigger. You're supposed to be doing something bigger. You're supposed to be doing something bigger. And I remember being scared to death to retire. I was scared to death. I'm like, what am I going to do? How am I going to do it? Is it going to work? Like I had all this fear and anxiety. And all of that dissipated within the first 30, 60, 90 days of me starting my business. And I've never looked back, man. I've never looked back one time. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is because if you are dissatisfied with the income you're making, the market is saying something about your skill level. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Okay, when people call in for me to speak, I say this is how much it's going to cost. Okay, right now I'm charging $25,000 when I speak. Okay, I remember a time when I was charging $350,000. Right? And I told my team, the next person that calls, I want you to say it's $50,000. Just see what they say. Because I spoke last week with Eric Thomas, hip-hop preacher, Patrick Bet-David, so all these big-time people. And I said, how much did you pay those dudes? They said $50,000. I said, all right, I'm asking $50,000. Right? Doesn't mean I get it. But what if I ask 50 and they come back and say, man, we got 35. I go, well, I guess I could take that. You know, it's a little below my budget, but I guess I can do it. Now, here's my point. My point is, there's somebody out there asking $200,000. Everybody with me? Tom Cruise charges whatever he charges to do one of the Mission Impossible films, $25 million, because why? Because he's that good. You watch a Mission Impossible film, you're like, dang, that dude's good. You know what? Does his own stunts. He's that good. That's why he could say it's $25 million, man. Okay? Now, what we live in today, though, is a lot of false positive, where people actually overvalue themselves. Right? They really haven't paid the price. They're not really that good yet, but they believe they're that good. And that's kind of the social media world that we live in, okay? This is why you really got to have a hard skill, man. The hard skill is you got to really solve a problem for people, okay? And so how many of you think you got clarity about your hard skill? Okay? Now remember, your hard skill is not what you do. Okay? I want you to be able to say, I have a real special skill. And based on my unique past and my unique experiences, I have really developed a real unique ability, a real special skill set doing this. Okay? This is what I do. Okay? Now, I constantly work on this. Okay? So this is an example of my notepad on one day where I literally sat down and just asked a simple question. What excites me and motivates me? And I just started drawing out things that excite me, both excite me and motivate me. Let me ask you a big question. What do you think you could wake up every day and do for the rest of your life that would both fascinate you and motivate you for the rest of your life? What could you wake up and go, man, I am so fascinated by this. I am so motivated by this. What is that? What are you curious about? What are you interested in? Okay? Okay, I know I was joking about Tony Robbins earlier, but the reality is he's built a $400 million coaching empire. That both fascinates me and motivates me. How did he do it? What does he do? What did he study? Who did he study under? How does he deliver content? How does he put 10,000 people in a room? How does he market? See, if you're really interested in something, you'll go looking for answers. Okay? The idea is you become a specialist in this area, okay? Does anybody have a question about this piece? Because it's very important. If you're trying to find your true unique ability, I have a book called This Ain't No Practice Life that was really my book on finding your voice. And then there's a book called Unique Ability by Catherine Nomura that I strongly recommend. And it's called Unique Ability. And it is a whole book about how you find your ability, your talent, which should be taught in every school in America. Do you agree? Yes. Once you find, if you got kids, one of the best things you can do for your kids is help them find their talent. And then get them the best coaching you can ever get them in that area. Okay? My daughter's a gymnast, and I called a level 9 gymnast, and I said, who's the best gymnast teacher in Tennessee? And she's like, this dude and this dude. I said, okay, that's who I want my daughter to have. And I'm willing to pay more money for my daughter to have the best coaches because I know how important that is to her future. Right? If that's her talent and she's good at this, I don't need to have some average bozo coaching her. Right? I need to think about Tiger Woods' dad, man. You need the best, man. You're going to become Tiger Woods. You're the best. Like this, you're the best in the world, man. You're going to become the best. And people don't think like that. Okay? Now, let's shift a little bit to ingredients of people of interest. Okay? And I like diagrams because I'm a coach. And so this, I've sitting down on a napkin one day. I drew this up on a napkin. And I was at Strategic Coach, which was a coaching program in Chicago. Everybody was paying at least $6,000 to, I don't know, $25,000 to be in there. You had to earn $100,000 of personal income to be in the class. Okay? So you had to show your tax returns to get in. Okay? And so we turn tax returns in, you pay a $500 deposit, and then you pay in full before you go. Okay? And when you're at the $100,000 to $250,000 level, you come in and you're in a class with all people who make $100,000 to $250,000. Okay? Or maybe $500,000. And then over there in that room is all people that make $500,000 and above. And then in this room, there's all people that make over, right, X number of dollars. And so I go, and I'm excited. I'm 35 years old. I think I had just started to make over $100,000 a year in my coaching business, right? So I'm excited. Average person in the room's 50, 55 years old, and I'm 35. I'm the youngest guy in the room, right? And I go, man, I'm excited. And you don't get Sullivan. You don't get Sullivan. You get one of his coaches. You only get Sullivan if you pay $25,000 a year. So to get in that room with him, you pay $25,000. And I wasn't in that room. I had this other coach who was good. But in my third session, halfway through the day, our instructor said, I want y'all to get ready because Dan Sullivan's going to come in and teach this next session. And he's the man, right? Like he's the man who created the whole thing. So I remember him walking into the room. He's very awkward. He's very socially awkward, but he's a genius. And he walks into a room, and everybody in that room pulled out their notepad. Everybody. And I mean, it's like this right here. Because if he's teaching it, everybody's listening. And I'm observing. I'm in the back. I'm a little shy. I'm in there with all these people, and I'm sitting in the back, and I'm drawing up this thing like, what does he have? Why would we get on an airplane? Why would we pay the $6,000? Why would we fly to Chicago? Why did 50 people, right? I mean, 50 people at $6,000 is $300,000, right? He was coaching 140 people at $25,000 a piece. Okay, so he's about $4 million there. And I'm sitting in the back going, what's this dude got, man? Why did we come for this? What does he have? And then I wrote down, man, he's a person of interest. That's what he is. And I started drawing little characteristics. And this is what I came up with. I'm like, well, this dude has got a very specific knowledge set. Like he has studied. And his whole thing was unique ability. That's special. And he had a concept called 10 times. This was way before Cardone brought out 10X. Sullivan's concept was 10 times. How do you 10 times something? But it wasn't about effort to him. It was structurally. Everything to him was about structures. So we would literally sit and do exercises. Take your company right now and multiply it 10 times. What would it look like? Well, I got offices in 30 cities. I got a staff of 500. We're doing 40 million of revenue. You understand where I'm going with this? Like he would literally make us work these exercises where we're multiplying our business. And he would show us you can't get there you can't get there like you're doing right now, man. You got 4 people. and you're thinking small, and you can't even see this 10 times concept that I'm talking about, right? Like he was operating at such a planet that everybody in the room was like, what's he talking about? He was so over our head on some things because he was just operating at a very high frequency. Okay, now here's what I was fascinated. Remember me telling you that people of interest are fascinating people. He was taking off 200 days a year. Completely off from his business. You couldn't call him, text him, see him, while he was running a $25 million coaching company. So he worked 165 days a year where he worked. But he was completely off for 200 days a year. So I asked his staff, like, is this real? Like, this sounds a little crazy. Could y'all find him on those days? Here's what they said. We can't find him. We can't talk to him. We can't text him. We can't. I said, what if the building catches fire? He said, we call somebody else. Like he is 100% unavailable to anybody on our team on those 200 days a year. And he owned the company, right? So what did he do? He came in and only coached people who paid 25 grand and above. Every now and then he'd come in there with us, right? And he did exactly what he loved every single day. He built the whole company around his unique ability. And I thought that was fascinating. Like I told my team yesterday, this is because I'm going away next week for a week. No coaching assignments, no people to talk to. I'm literally going to sit on that bungalow and look at the ocean. Okay? For at least 2 days. And then I'm going to start writing another book on day 3. Now, here's my point. I told my team yesterday, this is going to be a good test for you guys. Can you maintain our sales numbers without my push, without my stimulus, without me here to push you like I push you every day? Can you hit the same number of sales without me here? I'm using this as a test to see how strong your sales skills are. What will you come up with to stimulate our economy? Right? Without me. Sullivan was gone for 200 days a year while his company, he called it a self-managed company. It was self-managed. That means he had put every piece in place. We were just running. He just rolled in and did exactly what he loved doing, which is coach people. Everybody see that? And I'm sitting there at 35 going, that's what I want right there. It's not that I want to take off 200 days a year, but it would be nice to do whatever I want to 200 days a year. If I want to work from our house in Florida, I go to Florida. If I want to work a condo in Nashville, I go to our condo in Nashville. If I want to do whatever I want to do, right? I have the option of doing it. And I thought that was fascinating. At 35 years old, because I was always trained, boom, we work 80 hours a week, man. There is no better way than this, right? This is the way. So I'm sitting in the back going, God, man, this dude's kind of fascinating. How he structured this, the way his mind thinks. And this is what I came up with. He had a very specific knowledge in how to do one thing 10 times a business. How to build a company around your unique ability. That was his knowledge, right? He had an impeccable skill. But oddly enough, his skill was not communicating. Did you go through some communication?
No, I know about it.
Okay. Now, here's my point. He's not a great communicator. It's real awkward, like socially awkward. Okay? But his skill was packaging concepts, right? Unique ability, coming up with concepts, listening to problems. He called himself a tool maker for entrepreneurs. I create tools that solve problems for business people. That's what he called himself. I'm a tool maker, man. That's all I do. I wake up and I just look at problems people have and I create a solution to that problem. That he had a skill. Okay? He has a different kind of drive. Like I have a real high prey drive, and I put a lot of effort into things. And I do think I've never met a lazy person of interest. Everybody see that? I told Brad Lee once, man, and here's what he said. I'm lazy. And I'm like, man, I see you posting. You get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. You go to the gym. I see you at your office on Saturday and Sunday. You're not lazy. You may not work like I work, but you're not lazy. There is a difference between being lazy and being complacent. A lot of successful people become complacent, but they ain't lazy. Lazy people is ones that can't get out of bed and get going anymore, right? Successful people just kind of become complacent from time to time, okay? So they got a high drive. Now, why is this something a lot of you won't do? Okay? Now, let me ask you a question. Okay? Let's talk about that speaking engagement in Orlando. 1,000 people, me and Lou Holtz. They don't have the budget to pay me my full fee. I'm going to be speaking all day at this here with Kevin Elko. Then I have to get on a plane at 11 o'clock that night to speak the next morning. Then get on another plane to get to Pensacola to speak at another event. It's incredibly inconvenient to do this. Does that make sense? This is the part about being a person of interest that people don't want to do. Most people go, oh, I'm already speaking on that day, and I got to be in Pensacola, and it's going to be a tight flight. I got to fly at 11 o'clock at night. No. People of interest know one thing, return on objective. You're going to put me in front of 1,000 people. It's going to be me and Lou Holtz, right? Okay, good. I'll be there. Whatever I got to do to figure it out, I'll be there. Everybody see that? When I'm saying effort, if I tell you for my Colton Mortgage Group, if I say, look, you need to be doing showcase events, man. You need to be getting in front of people. You need to be getting people excited. You're going to say, oh, my God, I got to call agents, and I got to put it together, and I got to show up, and I got to follow up. Yes, you do. This is what it means to be a person of interest, right or wrong? You get up, you show up, you grow up, and you freaking deliver, man. You put a smile on. Okay? For a couple years, I dated like Miss Tennessee, former Miss Tennessee. She always wore high heels, and she always looked like $1 million. And I said, gosh, man, it seems so uncomfortable. And here's what she said to me. There ain't nothing comfortable about looking good. And I never forgot that. There ain't nothing comfortable about looking good, this good. And I'm like, okay, I get it. Now, here's what I'm trying to tell you about this. Many of you simply don't have the desire to do what it takes to be a person of interest. You got to go to breakfasts you don't want to go to. You got to catch a plane at 11 o'clock at night to go somewhere. You got, right? When push comes to shove, you're like, it's too inconvenient for me. Right? Now, you come to my school of speaking, right? And I said, if you want to speak and coach and train, this is exactly what you got to do. You got to do webinars, which I'm going to show you this afternoon how to do. You got to write a book. You got to get a message out. Now, you're going to look at me. A lot of people look at me and say, what? God, seems like a lot of work, man. Like, I got to do all that? And the answer is yes. If you want to be a thought leader and be known, you got to do the work. Which means you got to do things you don't want to do. Everybody see that? Okay? I'm having my own conference this year for the first time. And I'm easily putting $100,000 into this conference. Easily. With no guarantee that I'll get any of that money back. Everybody with me? The venue, the speakers, the VIP, the dinners, the transportation, right? It's literally just an investment into something, believing that we can make it work and make the money back on the back end. That's all it is, man. But why am I doing it? Because if I'm going to be a person of interest, I need my own conference. I don't need to be speaking on other people's stages. I need to be speaking on my own stage. Everybody see that? It's part of this. It's part of things you got to do, man. It's just stuff you got to do. Okay. Then look at this. Confidence. Why would I put likability in there? Why would I put likability in there?
People aren't interested in somebody they don't like.
Okay. I want to replace the word likability for a second and put energy. People are attracted to people that have good energy. Okay, now, I want to put likability and connectivity together. Because when I meet big-time people, let's go back to Micheal. Remember the first time I met Micheal? He's like, man, I watched some of your stuff. You are good, man. You're good. He's a master at making you feel like $1 million. Whether it's true or not. He is really good. You ever watch Micheal do a podcast? How many people has he told that they're the best interview you've ever had? He's like, oh my gosh, you are the best. Nobody has ever asked me questions like this. Then the very next interview, he's like, oh man, this is good. You're one of the best interviewers I've ever. Man, I've never had somebody. Like, I'm more excited about this interview than any interview I've ever done. Every interview's like that. Right? He is a master at making you feel like $1 million. Right? He really is. Now, here's the deal. He's very likable. He's got a very high connectivity. Like when you get in a room with big-time people, you can connect to them. Right? It's like they got energy about them. Okay? Now, could you be so strong in certain areas that it overrides another area? Let's take a guy like Nick Saban. A lot of people think Saban's not that likable. Okay? But he's so strong in his skill that it doesn't matter if you like him or not. He's just the best. Everybody see that? It don't matter if he's likable. He don't care if he's likable. He is there to get a result. But when you look at all these things, look at these characteristics. Deep networks. This is really what you're selling right here. Notice I said you're intangible. It is some intangible you have. A person of interest has something about them that I can't quite measure. I was watching this documentary about Luke Bryan, and pretty fascinating story. The night before Luke Bryan was scheduled to come to Nashville, his older brother died in a car wreck. And he literally put his dream of coming to Nashville on hold to stay there with his family. Imagine if this is your dream and you're moving to Nashville in the morning and you have this tragedy happen, and he literally just give it up. And he said, man, I'm staying here with my family because my dad needs me, my mom needs me, and I'm not pursuing my dream until, right? And he really just went to work on their farm and started doing all that stuff. And then many years later, he came to Nashville because his dad went to him and said, you got to go. Thank you for staying here with us. We love you and we appreciate you being here, but you got to go pursue your dream. And he comes to Nashville, and he starts playing songs, and a major record person comes to see him, and he says, man, he isn't that good. He's like, his songs are not that good. He can't sing that good. But he walked out of there that night going, but there's something about him that I like. He's got something. So I'm going to come back next week and see him again. So he comes back a second time. He said, man, he still couldn't sing that good. Songs still weren't right. Right? I'm going to come back a third time. Then he brings his whole team. His whole team said, songs ain't that good. He can't sing that good, but we like him. There's something about him we like. Right? Comes back a fourth time. And then they signed him. Right? That is intangible. It's hard not to like that guy. Right? Doesn't matter if he could sing that great or this or that. Do you know how much money he's made in country music? I think he's worth $80 to $100 million right now. Here's the deal. There's just something about people that you can't sometimes figure out. It's like, okay, I was riding down the road one day, and one of my best friends who was a pastor said to me, he said, Coach, you have a contagious confidence about you. And man, it just rubs off on everybody. And I said, you think I do? He said, yeah, man, that's your free prize. That's something you can offer to people. A contagious confidence. Now, I don't know what your free prize is, but I would kind of put this in the category of you have something that is in addition to, you have something I get that's in addition to everything else. Everybody see that? It's like, man, I get the deal, but then I also get this. And that is something special. What is that? Okay? If you were looking right now, I want you to tell the person beside you, when you're looking at that prism, where do you think you need the most work? It's not where you're deficient. It's like, where do you feel like you could really get better? Okay, a few years ago, somebody said that I really trust said to me, you're a great coach, but you're a lousy marketer. They said, man, you're too good not to learn how to market. You have got to build the skill of marketing and promotion. And it kind of hurt, right? Kind of hurt my feelings a little bit. It's like, oh, okay. But they were exactly right. Don't matter how good you are if you don't know how to market and promote. Don't matter, man. I don't care how good you are. You be the best person in the world. This is a skill that has to be learned. So I had to skill up. So I said, okay, I'm going to understand funnels. I'm going to show you this afternoon how we do. I've done probably 1.4 million in funnels over the last 12 months through funnels. Okay, I've driven thousands and thousands and thousands of leads to decision pages to make decisions, to purchase something or take an action. 3 years ago, I didn't even know how to do that. I didn't even understand it. How does a funnel work? Why do I need it? How is it different than a website? How do I do webinars? Like, I literally didn't know how to do any of those things. Okay, and I'm like, I'm learning. I'm going to read the books. I'm going to study under the people. I'm going to learn how to market and be a person of interest and attract people to me. That's what I'm going to learn, right? So take a second right now and tell the person beside you, man, there's a couple areas I got to get better at. And then we're going to take a break for lunch. Tell them right now what it is that you think you got to get better at. All right, so at the end of the day, what are we really selling? Yes. Yes. What we're really selling is an outcome. What we're really selling is a bigger future. What we're really selling is a special skill set. What we're really selling is there's nobody in the world who can do this like we can do it. See, what we're really selling, you think I'm selling a mortgage and houses and, whiskey and whatever else you think you're selling, man. I know. I think you're selling an outcome. And the reason I'm hiring you is because you have convinced me that there is nobody in the world who can give me that outcome better than you. Based on your unique past and your unique skills, you are the best. Okay? That is what you're really selling me. Okay? So when you go back out into the marketplace, because it's going to be very important to your message, you go back out into the marketplace and you just keep selling whatever it is you're selling, you're really commoditizing your own self. Okay? There are 700,000 people in the United States that call themselves a coach in today's market. It is becoming an incredibly commoditized term. So I very seldom use that term when I'm explaining my value. I say I've really developed a unique skill set in activating the prey drive in a person to go do something. Okay, and that's based on 30 years of doing it, man. You can sum it all up into this one thing. Okay? Now, I'm trying to get you to think specialist, not generalist. Valuable skill set. Okay? All of us are in commoditized industries, man. Insurance, all these commoditized industries. So I got to separate myself out by having something very unique that other people need. And then I got to become a master at marketing it. Okay? Had my daughter watch the show P.T. Barnum, the movie. She loved it. She was 8 years old when she watched it. She watched it over and over and over and over. Right? And I said, what did you learn by watching that movie? And she said, oh, Daddy, they just treated him so bad. They were so mean to him. And I said, no. You missed the point. He is a master at getting people to the circus. Right? Look at all the things he did to get people in the door, man. His unique ability was, right, taking people from all walks of life, putting them into that circus, and then driving people into the door to see that circus. That was what he was a master at. Okay? When you look at some of the people today, they're modern day P.T. Barnums, man. They have become the best at marketing. They have become the absolute best at marketing their products and services. This is what I have. This is how I'm packaging it. This is how I'm marketing and selling it. Okay? But you can't skip step one. If you skip that part, then we don't have anything to market. Okay? So when we come back from the break, we're going to take about a 20 to 25 minute lunch break. We have a lot of people watching online today from all over the world. We're going to take a 20 to 25 minute lunch break. There's some food downstairs for you. And then we're going to start back and we're going to keep going because we got to get in. I'm going to show you how I actually do webinars. Because my hope would be everybody would leave here and everybody would learn how to sell one-to-many. So a picture having 300 people on a webinar with you, you've got a strong message, and they're just signing up. Hey, I'd like to work with you. I'd like to work with you. I'm going to show you exactly how we do that, how I come up with a concept, how I create a real webinar, how I drive 300 to 500 people in the door, how I push them to something in the future, right? And there's a cycle to doing this. How I use video, messaging, all that stuff to really drive large numbers of people in the door. Okay? And I think everybody in this room, no matter what you're selling, needs to do that. Okay? So thank you for a great morning. Enjoy your lunch. We'll start back in about 25 minutes. Okay? Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.